Go get your ball. Good girl. Hey YouTube, Landon here with Order the Traveling Hats today to talk to you about my Jeep. This is my personal Jeep that we built over several years. This is a new channel. We don't have any sponsors. We built this Jeep entirely on our own and had to make some tough decisions on what to put on it and what not to put on it. I think it's important to show people that you don't have to have the biggest and best, most fancy Jeep to be able to get to some really great places like we've gone to. I think it's really important to note that, and as this is a travel channel and really more interested in showing you guys all these great places we go to, I thought it'd be a good idea to take you out to the garage and show you around my Jeep, to show you kind of how we get to some of those places. So what I'm going to do is shut off the camera, and we're going to go out to the garage, and I'm going to take you on a walk around my Jeep and show you some of the things we've done. So as I promised, we'd come out here into the garage and we'd start looking at the Jeep a little bit. So as we walk around the Jeep, we can see this is a 2013 Rubicon Wrangler. It's a 4-door. I bought it new in 2013 and I've had it ever since. We've put about 137,000 miles on it so far, and it's getting close to the end of its life. That's why I wanted to make this video, because I think eventually we're going to have to replace it. So I think what we ought to do is probably start up at the front. That's the business end, and we'll look at that and I'll show you a little bit about what we did up there. So on this Jeep, we've got a winch and winch bumper. That's a really popular thing to do. I think people that are really serious about off-roading are gonna eventually get a winch and winch bumper for recovery. We've actually used this thing. You can see on my Factor 55 link that there's some of the anodized aluminum missing just because it's been beat up a little bit on the trail. This bumper came from Metal Cloak. They make a fantastic bumper. They're modular and the end caps are replaceable. The hoop over the winch is also replaceable, and you can swap it out with a couple different options they've got. We've got just some standard shackles here on the front. I think one of the things that I always like to do, if you can see it, I think you can, is I take a little safety tie and always zip tie these things on so the bolt can't unscrew and you lose the shackle going down the road and it hits somebody. I think that's just a safety thing. Under that, you can see there's an aftermarket skid plate. That came from Rugged Ridge, actually. And I just ordered it off of Quadratech, I think, several years ago. It protects the sway bar disconnect that kind of hangs down on these Jeeps. If we go a little bit further under here, we kind of move down, you can see there's a replaced steering stabilizer. That's not the factory steering stabilizer. That came from Old Man Emu. It needed to be replaced after I banged the factory one on a rock and kind of bent it, and then we kind of replaced that. If we look over here, you can kind of see there's a little differential skid plate. It's also got some rocks and scratches and dings on it from being hit on things over the years. Let's see, we kind of turn the camera there, maybe you can see it. I've got these front and rear. They weren't very expensive. They were about like 50 bucks a piece. They're made out of pretty good steel. They're welded and formed and offer a little bit of protection for your ring gear. I think that's a really important thing. It's kind of a soft spot on the front of your Jeep, and you could hit it on something if you aren't being real careful with tire and wheel placement. When we move kind of to the front quarters, we see that these are not the factory fenders. These are flat fenders from Poison Spider. They're steel fenders and kind of armored, and you can tell these have been used. That is from some rocks that we hit on the last trail we went on, and I have been remiss and not repainted it yet. Need to get that done. These got put on this Jeep secondary to me tearing a fender off on a mesquite bush on an outing we had in Texas a couple of years ago. So these have actually been on for a couple of years. They've been great. They're very strong. You can stand on them. They do protect the Jeep, just as you can see over there. That one banged up against some rocks, and if I'd had a plastic fender, probably would have done some body damage. So that armor certainly paid for itself that day. These I bought unpainted and then had them powder coated at a local powder coat shop, but you can get them powder coated as well, and I think you can get them through Poison Spider and a couple of other online vendors. This Jeep, when we look, it's got a very inexpensive Rubicon Express 2.5-inch suspension lift on it. It's got their shocks as well. You can kind of see them in there. The shocks are essentially, my understanding is that they're Bilstein BP5100s that Rubicon Express buys. I don't know if they spec different valving or not. It rides pretty good. I think the ride is a little bit harsh sometimes. Additionally, I don't think you can see it from here very easily. If we really get under the Jeep, maybe you can. Yeah, you can see it right there. Is adjustable upper control arm links for the front. I do think that's important. These are also from Rubicon Express. You can kind of see it right there is the adjustment on it. That jam nut, it allows you, as I think everybody online probably knows, to adjust the length of the control arm so you can correct the caster angle on the front end of the Jeep and maintain your alignment and make it drive a little bit better. Also wear your tires a little bit more evenly. Now, as for tires, these are BF Goodrich ATKO2s. They are a 285 70R17. That is about a 33-inch tire. I don't run a 35 on purpose. I feel like on the Dana 44s they put on these, I've talked to several people over the years that have had bent axle tubes and damaged their axles that were just running 35. So unless you were really willing to sleeve your axle or truss it, I kind of felt like a 33 was probably a good compromise. It's a little bit bigger than the tire that came on the Jeep. It was a 32. And it also has allowed me to go a lot of places, even some places I probably shouldn't have gone. These are a great tire. They wear exceptionally well. I've ran BF Goodrich AT-KO2s since they came out, and actually ran the ATs before that. The KO2 does better in mud, and also does extremely well in snow. I've driven these in blizzards and snowstorms, and they've just done fantastically well. So I think that's my tire choice, and I'm probably going to stick with that. I think that's really genuinely one of the best tires that you can get on the market today. That is my opinion, but I've got a lot of experience with them and feel like that's really, they're kind of hard to beat. Up here, if we look, we've got a Rigid Industries cubes. These are fog lights and not driving lights. I put them on here after I did a night recovery and couldn't see anything and wanted to be able to have kind of just a more diffuse light around the front of the Jeep to be able to work at night if I had to do a recovery. Great little kit, not very expensive, super easy to install. You just kind of route the wiring down under the cowl, and there's a real simple switch and relay system. It's super easy to put in. This is the Daystar Antenna for the GMRS radio that we put in. I elected to put a GMRS radio in the Jeep because it's got a little bit more wattage than the handheld units. I had a CB radio in here before but took it out because no one really uses CB anymore, and GMRS is just a lot better. Of note, if you want to do GMRS, there is a federal license you've got to get, and there's a website I can link to in the description. And it'll kind of take you to the website to get your family license. It's not very expensive. I can't remember. It's like $20 or $40 or something for several years. But it does make you legal and gives you a call sign to operate on the GMRS spectrum legally. I did put a shorty antenna. Hate the antennas that Jeep puts on. They get caught in limbs and everything else. So I did put this little shorty antenna on. That was like a $10 addition, really easy. Still works amazingly well. The FM and AM radio still pick up stations just fine. Now as we move around to the side, you can see it's basically stock rock rail from Mopar. That rock rail surprisingly is very effective, and I like the way it's tucked up under the Jeep and doesn't stick out. You don't get your leg caught on it when you're getting in and out of the Jeep. You don't get muddy. This is my daily driver, even though it is pretty dirty. It is dirty because I drive it every day, and it's been raining and our weather's just not great this time of year. So on the back, this is our rear Poison Spider fender. Really like the way it's tucked up and kind of slopes towards the body, kind of to allow you to roll off of things. That's actually the fender that got torn off by a mesquite bush in Texas. It just tore the clips right off. The clips were really expensive, and so I just replaced it with these. These have a couple of extra brackets. You can kind of see there's a bracket right there. That I think you can kind of see. little bolts in there that go into the tub. Additionally, there's another one right up in here that you can see. That's not a factory bracket. That goes in and actually helps support the fender and make the fender pretty strong. Again, these are super strong fenders. You can stand on them. You can lean up against a tree or a rock on them, and they won't hurt the tub of the Jeep. They really help distribute the load pretty well. Again, Rubicon Express shocks on the back, nothing special there. The bumper is another Poison Spider edition. I kind of tend to like their stuff. It's really well made, and they are really good at building bumpers and fenders and accessories that are pretty tucked up against the Jeep and offer really good protection. This one also has integrated shackle mounts on the back. Again, you can see these are safety tied as well. And I really like the fact that this one kept the factory hitch and the factory trailer plug, since I do occasionally need to pull a trailer. And it really tucked up really nice with that. That bumper looks like it's all one piece, but it's actually not. We don't really run a lot of other stuff on the outside of the Jeep. I think it would be really cool now to look at the inside of the Jeep. So I'm going to open up the driver door and kind of show you what we've done on the inside, which isn't a whole lot. As you can see, the Jeep is pretty stock. There's not a whole bunch of stuff hanging off in here. This is a daily driver. I think if we kind of hop into the Jeep and look, it becomes pretty apparent that we've done just a few minor things. We've got a little GoPro mount on the dash that just sticks on. This little phone mount was from Daystar. It was pretty inexpensive. It works amazingly well. I'm able to mount my phone up there, and it holds it pretty good off-road. You can still use it. We'll just run a USB cable from this 12-volt charger down here and kind of route it around and up and over to it. This is the radio that we've got. This is the GMRS radio right here. That's the handset, and then it kind of goes up here to this. I got this Daystar mount. It just kind of screws into the plastic of the windshield surround, but it works really well. It's also got some integrated switches with it. It's got 4 switches, and that's just a GMRS radio. I think it's a 50-watt radio. It works really well. They're much clearer than a CB radio. It's also got a weather band on it, which has been really helpful when we've been out, just to be able to listen to the weather forecast and the local weather for wherever you are. That's all been super helpful. Not really a whole lot else. Curiously enough, the switch for the Rugged Ridge, the Rigid Industry lights are not up here because this was installed long after I put the lights in. That switch is actually way down here, that little red thing. You can kind of see it peeking out. That was just a convenient place to put that because I didn't want to have to route the wiring all the way up, and I didn't have overhead switches at the time, and I've been admittedly a little bit lazy to move it because it works down there just fine when I need it. So as we move out of the Jeep and we kind of come around to the back, I've done some things and put some stuff on the back that really helps when we're on the trail. So if we open the tailgate and the window, we can kind of start to see that we put a little MOLLE mat on the tailgate here, and that allows me to carry a couple bags. There's a little flashlight in that Pro Tactical 4 thing. That's another work lamp. It's got a little tripod on it, and you can angle the head. It's really helpful. It also works as a flashlight. And I've got various recovery gear, winch controller in here. If you look at that, there's you can kind of see the winch controller, gloves. There's a snatch block kind of hiding in there. Just all the stuff you need for recovery. It's tucked away, stowed away really nice, and it kind of helps you be able to get easy access to it. So there's some more recovery gear in here. It's just convenient to get to. Inside the Jeep, we've got just the standard factory cargo mat. It's reversible, you know, it's carpeted on one side. Never use the carpet, it looks really clean. Always have you use the rubber side, just because I throw stuff back here from time to time that's kind of dirty. I've got a little free picnic mat that we picked up somewhere. I don't even remember, but it's a nice about 4 foot by 4 foot little mat you can roll out if you just need a place to sit on the ground, or God forbid you break down somewhere and need to work and lay out some parts or tools. That thing's really handy for that. Up here is just a fire extinguisher. So that's the automotive type fire extinguisher you can buy. You know, as we can see, it's still got a good charge. I check that periodically, and it's on a little mount that I just got online somewhere. I think from one of the big four-wheel supply stores like Quadratech or Four Wheel Parts. I can't remember. Never have had to use it, but it's always nice to have it just in case. You know, safety first on the trail. Speaking of safety first, this is the first aid kit. Again, I think this came from Smittybuilt and just ordered it online. It came empty as a pouch with a little mount for the roll bar, and then I filled it up with my own stuff. We could actually do probably a whole video just going through what I carry in that little first aid kit. There's actually a lot of stuff in there just to do some simple first aid on the trail. God forbid should someone get hurt. If we're going out on a longer expedition, I've got a bigger kit bag that I can put more supplies in, splints and some other things like that that I don't always carry on a daily basis. Then we've got this nice internal rack from TerraFlex. It kind of mounts to the roll bar, and it's been fantastic. I use this thing a lot. It's really strong. It holds a lot of weight. It's adjustable in height, and I've currently got it at a height such that I can fit my rigid toolbox and tool case in there. You can set a pretty big Yeti ice chest right here next to it, and it'll just kind of slide in, and then I've still got a little bit of room for some other gear. Up here I usually put our camp chairs, our tent, clothes. Like you can really stack this up, and then these bars are strong enough that you can actually use some ratchet straps and strap everything down, so you don't have to worry about your load shifting when you're off-road or something. You know, God forbid you roll over and you get hit in the head with something heavy and that injures you. You really need to make sure that all your gear is secure when you're off-road as much as you can. The rigid boxes are relatively new. I've had them in there about 2 years. The bottom ones holds recovery straps and tools. And the top one actually is just an impact wrench. I think having an electric impact wrench on the out in the field, if you need to change a tire or take something apart, man, that sure does make it a lot easier. That's got a rigid impact wrench in there, 1/2-inch drive, and a battery. It's also got the impact sockets for lug nuts and just a set of standard and metric impact sockets such that we could use it to take something apart on the Jeep and help us put it back together if we needed to. Under here, you know, everybody knows Jeeps have got this little cargo area, and so there's just some jumper cables. There's a winch blanket for a winch cable, hitch, and just some kind of other various things in there. But it's a great little storage cubby that we use to keep things out of the way. And that's pretty much the Jeep. I think that, you know, this thing's been a fantastic vehicle. It's been a vehicle that I have taken to several different states. It's off-roaded in Texas. It's off-roaded in Arkansas, I think parts of Missouri. We've been to several different places in it over the years, and it has never let us down. It's never put a foot wrong. It has been a fantastic vehicle. Now that it's getting close to the end of its life, we're probably going to be replacing it, and we'll have to post that in another video. So I'm going to go back in now, and we can kind of give you some closing thoughts. So we're back from the garage. I hope everybody enjoyed that video. It was a little bit longer than I really anticipated it to be. I think hopefully this is something that you can kind of learn from out there, and as you build your own Jeeps and go on adventures on your own, you can kind of maybe use this to help you make some decisions on things that you maybe haven't thought about before. So I appreciate your time, appreciate you guys viewing the video, hope you liked it. If you did, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe. It helps us on YouTube. And we will be seeing you soon on the order of the traveling hats.